fitness projects. Kevin will taking the next step with regard to preparing people for any of the overhead lifting, Turkish get-ups and whatnot. What we want to identify is the fact that if they have decreased shoulder mobility, it can result in lack of thoracic mobility, right? The ability to extend that position. That is important when we're in the deepest part of that squat, trying to get the load centered over the shoulders. If you can't mobilize that thoracic, it is going to be a problem that's going to result in a shoulder injury. Very rarely going to be something wrong with the back. It's going to be the shoulder trying to accommodate for that lack of flexibility in the spine. So, that being said, we have this thoracic mobilizer. You'll see it on the program as thoracic mobilizer with foam rolling. We'll do this in a group fitness setting and a one-on-one. The one-on-one we can definitely dial down to the client's specific needs. We'll talk about that later. The setup. We want the client to locate this foam roller at the middle of their shoulder blades. Some people have no idea where that is, so you might actually have to touch the client and actually leave a physical landmark on them so that they can feel where the middle of that scapula is, right? So Kevin, I want you to get this foam roller on your scapula and I want you to go hips up, right? Super important, before he grabs this bar that's located behind him, that he is in the unloaded position, right? His hips are up. I'm gonna slowly roll this bar to him. He's gonna take it where he's most comfortable and he's going to roll the bar to the straightest arms possible without moving on the foam roller. Super important. You're dealing with some clients who've never really lifted. This is a new position for them. So as they try to push out, they'll also push from the legs and start moving the foam roller from being in the middle of their scapula. Super important. It has to be in the middle of their scapula, right? Kevin's gonna push that arm straight. He's not yet in the loaded position. From here, we're gonna direct Kevin to slowly, and I mean slowly, start to load his shoulders by dropping his hips, right? He finds his hips all the way down to the ground. Awesome. He's there for 2 minutes. He's in neutral head position. He's good to go, all right? Kevin's a good athlete. He's fairly mobile. He's very strong. This is not your typical client. Your typical client will have some issues related to shoulder girdle strength, neck stability. They will bark at the fact that the weight of their head is too much for their SCM. So, I got this guy, and I'm gonna place it behind his head where there's some place in neutral spinal alignment, because if they're overly concerned about the pain in their neck, they're not going to be organizing their shoulders, squeezing their shoulder blades back, extending their arms, right? And it's going to be a constant readjustment because it's a 2-minute stretch. If Kevin's got a good extended position and he wants a challenge, he can always start to migrate those hands in a little closer together. They will never, or should never, approach the width of their shoulders. Always slightly outside, squeezing the shoulder blades back. And here we are, hips onto the ground, into the loaded position. Unfortunately, we're dealing with clients that will have some stability issues in the neck, or it just could be too big a position on the shoulders. That's where the second yoga block, I'll ask them to lift up, their butt up off the ground, and I'll just tuck this over to give their hips some support so they can get into the stretch. They may not need this block the entire 2 minutes, but that initial getting into the position, starting to drop the hips, could be too much too soon. So I like to give them kind of like a level 1 is just a yoga block. You can use AirX pad, which is a little bit slimmer profile than a yoga block. And then when you feel comfortable with this position, you can ask them to raise their hips and then slowly lower their hips to the ground. And then the balance of the 2 minutes, the rest of the way, right? That's the thoracic mobilizer. Thanks.